Well. Robert Phoenix, your Astro Weatherman, and apologize for the lateness today. It has been an absolutely busy and hectic time around these parts. The amount of clients I've had are kind of off the charts. I said to myself, I'm only going to try to do maybe one or two readings a day. And yesterday I had 3, which was fine. And everybody was like very high quality in terms of who they are. And then I did 2 shows yesterday. I was with Giuseppe and Dave and Russ. And then last night I was on with Steve, aka Zerlith Immortal. Man, it was a packed day. I mean, I literally think I had, from the time I started the weather till the end of my the show with Steve and Slick This, and it was great. From that time to that time, I think maybe I had, I don't know, an hour and a half maybe between everything. So yesterday was like a 12-hour day. Crazy, really crazy. But ultimately rewarding. And I do it all for Peachy. That's right. I do it all for Peachy. I'm here to keep Peachy in cat food. And her leisure and her pleasure. I work at her pleasure. Let me check some of these settings here over on StreamYard. How is everybody? Today's the day. Oh boy, it's like Christmas. It's like Christmas. The Epstein list is going to be released. Please. We're going to do a show on it. We got it lined up over on 15. Come on, everybody's going to be talking about it. If I'm not going to talk about it, I'll be remiss. But I have to tell you, I'm a little bored by the Epstein thing, to be honest. And the reason I'm bored with it is because when did we start talking about Epstein? I was living in Austin. I remember doing a show and I was reading the names off of Epstein's address book. So I left Austin in 2018. I must have done that show probably around, I'd say 2017. That was 8 years ago. That was 8 years ago, digging into the Jeffrey Epstein world. And many subsequent shows with the Jeffrey Epstein world. And here we are, 2025, and we're getting the list. By the way, Bill Clinton put out a preemptive video saying that even if his name is on that list, it may not mean what it seems. Well, people have wanted to see some heads roll. And by the way, I'm actually one of those people. And it's going to be interesting to see if something actually comes besides everybody in the Trump administration, once they're elected, within the first couple of hours, the first words out of their mouth is how much they support Israel. I mean, this is nuts. Like Kash Patel, who's the director of the FBI. What does Israel have to do with the fucking FBI? Well, plenty, really, if you boil it down. But all of a sudden, he has to announce to the world that the most important thing to him is his relationship with Israel. I mean, they're all, it's like this Mockingbird Media, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel. I'm surprised RFK2 hasn't come out and said the same thing. Anyway, that's a different topic for a different show. We're here to talk about astrology. We're coming up on the big alignment tomorrow. We've got the new moon on its way. And yesterday, man, I gotta say, yesterday was a trip. Usually when I have, there's almost always one day where I have a theme with clients. And it'll be like a twinning theme. And yesterday was a big twinning theme. I started my day off with a really cool person in Atlanta, Georgia, and she kind of does what I do, right? She's got her hands in the tarot and the astrology world, and she has clients, right? And I started off with her, super cool person, and the physical characteristics is that she had jet black hair, right? And then my last client of the day was in Australia, and who really wants to branch out in her life and work with what she's been working on for, I don't know, the last 5-6 years, very intensely with tarot and the Kabbalah and work with sigils, right? So remember, I started off with this really cool practitioner in Atlanta, jet black hair. And then at the end of the day, I end it with a really cool soon-to-be practitioner, although has done some stuff. And what are her characteristics? Jet black hair. Person in Atlanta, Leo. Person in Australia, moon in Leo. Sun in Leo, moon in Leo. Sun at the beginning of the day, moon at the end of the day. It's not always just the clients, who, by the way, I love, but it's these interesting sort of synchronicities that go along with it. And then sandwiched in the middle was an incredibly interesting woman who lives in Walnut Creek, California, kind of at the foot of Mount Diablo, who was kind of a version of that in her own way, right? So fascinating. Like when these things come, they kind of come in pairs or waves, or it happens all the time. And I love that stuff, because when you sit back and you look at the patterns, like, well, what was this pattern about today? Right. And yesterday's pattern was about esoterica and people who have chosen to go in that direction in their lives and make it a part of not just their personal practice, but their professional practice as well. Anyway, be here, and I hope you are too. Again, I apologize for being a bit late. Yeah, when I have a really long day like that, sometimes, every now and then, I get a little tired. So there are some days I'm just wiped, but there are other times where I'm not tired, because I have been like generating. Well, not generating in a human design sense, but I've been like operating sort of at a peak level for hours. And it kind of energizes you, or me rather, and then I have to come down from it. And sometimes that's not easy. So it's not. So I wind up staying up a bit, because number one, I have to kind of catch up on whatever leisure time I have, and number two, I'm not really that tired, because I've just been sort of operating at a kind of a high level. It's an interesting experience. And it's not something that's uncommon. Like when I used to do tarot readings on Fisherman's Wharf, or just when I was doing like a lot of public tarot readings, I would do anywhere between, I don't know, 10 to 15 a day. Seriously. About 10 to, because I'd get out there probably about 11 o'clock, maybe 10:30. People start to, start to walk down the Fisherman's Wharf, and then I'd be there until the sun went down, because that's kind of during the summertime in San Francisco, or springtime, summertime, San Francisco, or the fall. You got to make hay literally while the sun shines, right? So I didn't have a problem with that. I was never really tired. In fact, by the end of the day, I was really energized by all the stimuli that I was experiencing. I don't know. Some of you do what I do out there, and maybe that's your experience. It's my experience most of the time. Sometimes there's a lot of heavy lifting going on, in which case it's different. Let me do a quick check here on who's in chat. We'll jump right into the weather. Let's see, who do we have? DJ MC, DJ Pebblestone, DJ C. Everybody's DJ today. DJ Beth, DJ Tammy Lynn. Good to see you, DJ Jackie Delario. That'd be DJ JD. DJ JD. Speaking of New Jersey, I was watching a clip from The Sopranos the other day. Oh my God, it was fucking hilarious. The Sopranos is actually really funny. At times it was like a comedy. It's like a comedy show. Misbehaving too. It is Thursday. There she is, Mama Goat Herder, Janice Phillips, Scott Jerzik in the house. Road Trip Darling. Susan's here. Julie Sunshine, 333, Slappy Happy Day. Barbara Boots, checking in. Triple J, Josie's Jazzy Junk. Good Thirsty Thursday, and I'm parched. All right. Well, hydrate. There she is, Mad Maxine, Lynette Jardine. My man Ryan is back. Yes, there's order in the universe. All we need now is Susie Gemini to reemerge from her chrysalis. Liddy Lou's here. My endless road. Wit, what's going on, Wit? Got some snow in Ruidoso. How about that? Yes, you can be a member of Locals right over there. Thank you, Ryan. Kelly B. Charlie, my man Charlie. Sad for me here in Biloxi. It sounds like a song. Sounds like a country song. What would it be? Tears in Biloxi. Well, there was a play called Biloxi Blues, right? It was written by Neil Simon, and it was eventually, I think, made into a movie starring Matthew Broderick as a young Neil Simon, and Neil Simon apparently was in the military. So it's a Biloxi Blues. There you go. Charlie's got the Biloxi Blues. Remington sounds like it's on its way. Let's see. What do we else say? Soul Traveler, Moonsprout, planting literal season. Good for you, Moonsprout. Getting in on that new moon action. Queen Lisa checking in from Florida. Big Dave Sullivan. There's our gal, Orlando, Southwest Virginia. I raise my cup to you, Orlando. Healing Heart Rosie, Healing Heart, I will send you an email. You will get the email with all the pertinent details. Let's see, here we go. Charlie, I know I am an unknown stranger, but I have a funeral Saturday morning for a dear friend. Well, Charlie, that is a moment of mourning, and I can understand why you're sad. And as we evolve, dare I say, get older, these events, even if they're limited in scope with our social network and our friends, they're nonetheless ever more poignant because it reminds us that the clock is ticking for us as well. Devin Dewar in the house. What's going on, Devin? Good to see you. I got a potential guest for you, Devin. My gal in Australia would be perfect for your show, by the way. Neil Smith checking in from Wisconsin. There's our man. I just got to put him up here just for now. Thor at the door on Thursday. There he is. Give a Steve shout out. Dead Wolf Resistance. Damn it, we still alive on the ball or flat disc? Hell, I'm pissed. Have you guys heard that they found what is like the equivalent of a wall at the edge of the solar system? Have you heard this? I'll have to get into it on Sunday night. Very interesting piece of information, if true. And we always question what's real. Claire is here. So is Christina Jerzik. Miss Nikki. Sandra Jack Shaw. Oh my God, look at this. I got to put this up here. Wow. I'm so sad to hear that Gene Hackman, his wife, and what is that dog were found deceased in their Santa Fe home. I feel it was planned goodbye to the. Oh, that's boo. That is a blow. I love Gene Hackman. I love Gene Hackman. His wife was considerably younger than he was as well. That does sound planned because she was much younger. Wow. You know, it's weird being on biological time and God's time when it comes to the end, and it's not an easy schedule. Not an easy schedule. Gene Hackman was always one of my favorite actors. Loved him. Loved him. He was in a few clunkers, but not many, and more memorable roles than not. That is sad. Wow. There is a dark pall already on this day. Maya Rose from Mexico. There she is, the lovely and talented one. Saving Austin one tooth at a time. Esperanza Venstaro. Athena. KK Smith. Hi, KK. Let's see what else we have here. Astrology Rev. Howdy back. Happy time. Happy time. More in NYC. It's a wet one. Yes. Bring on the flood. I'll bring this up from Ryan here. There you go. You want to read from yours truly, get on board there. Go to the website. Naturally, Mother Earth, the energy is rough right now. It is a little choppy. The high seas are choppy. You got bags into those baby blues. Don't burn out. You know what? It's fine. It's really fine. By noon, I will be in fine form. Fine form. Let's see. Who else do we have here? SP Dimples. Europa calling. Audio is lagging. That may be on your end. The Piscean rains are coming down. Let's see. Who else do we have? Laura E. Gotta say hi to Laura E. My man Tom Jordan in the house. Literally in the house. It's blackmail list by now. It's just, I'm bored. Integrity and Karma. What's up, Lorena? Let's see. Dead Wolf Resistance on his way out. I really don't belong here anymore. I'm gone. Only one solution, and not a goddamn one of you standing beside me. It seems so. Fuck all this. Well, Dead Wolf, if that's true, well, we do appreciate you. I do, at least, and I'm glad I was able to see you. And I hope you do come back because you're an interesting character. So don't go all Gene Hackman on us now. Okay, Diane Evans is here. Who else? Bill Smith. No mulligans. Yes. That's true. Scrubbies. Also here. All right, should I get into the weather? Stormy. It's feeling stormy out there. Matt Bulkey, I'm half a day ahead in China, and my day was way off as far as energy goes. Depth field of vortex is open. Yeah, you can buy me a cup of coffee. That's right. Help support the show. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. Jared Mick, hello, hello. Zerlith Immortal. Hey, guys, everyone got the link for the show? Great show. Slick Dissident, man. Bringing the gravy. Still lights. Yeah, I'm going to throw that up there. Laura E., same thing, right? Yes. Dead Wolf, man. If we're not in there with you in body, we're in there with you in spirit. I think many of us share the same general disposition about the world that you do, even though we might not always be as blunt and straightforward as your text. So, Carol Moore, yeah, Epstein's a bore. Over it, over it. But we'll talk about it. Tilde. What's going on, Tilde? Mike Carson, CB, Iowa. What's up, Mike? Mike. Dead Wolf needs encouragement. Yeah, I think we're all, in our own way, a version of Dead Wolf. I think he's probably expressing many of the same sentiments and thoughts that we have. And for somebody who is a lone wolf to show up here and be a part of our pack for a while, we really appreciate it. And I think many of us can relate. So I hope you at the very least understand that. There's Miguel Jolie Evans, Matt Burns, Sally Hiller, Glenna Spank. We got an all-star crew here today. And with that, let's get into the weather. Since I'm behind the times. Oh, shit. You know what I need to do? You know what I need to do? I actually need to do the weather. Give me 1 sec. Okay. Uno momentito. If I had a Mexican restaurant, that's what I'd name it. Uno momentito. I don't want that. Oh, what does it say for me? Reorientation. Oh, it's Uranus square. Yes. Yes, Uranus square. Uh-huh. It says I'm getting old. I'm getting old. All right, hold on. Don't go away. I promise we would get to the thing that we need to get to. There it is right there. All right. Coming back for little details. Uh-huh. A bang, a bong, a bang. And hold on. By the way, I noticed that Jeffrey Epstein was born at 0 Aquarius, which I always thought was quite interesting in a lot of ways. And where is Pluto? So first of all, if you want to know my true feelings about Jeffrey Epstein, I believe he's still alive. When they say Epstein didn't kill himself, I think there's a layered meaning to that. I think he was extracted. I think he's still alive. That's one man's opinion. And Pluto is conjuncting Jeffrey Epstein's sun. Okay, here we go. Well, the moon ain't quite new. The moon ain't quite new. The moon ain't quite new. How about you? How about you? Ooh, the emotions. The emotions are very, very, very dramatic today. There's a sadness, there's a grief in the air. What are we letting go of? Dead Wolf, you are riding the crest. You're riding the wave of this balsamic moon. Our friend Charlie in Biloxi. Tears for a friend who is no longer with us. The sad news of Gene Hackman and his lovely wife and their dog departing from this world. And we're just getting started. It's only 8:30 a.m. here, Central Standard Time. Yes, the depth and the sadness. I mean, you may not even know why, but the depth and the sadness of this moon is profound. The world as we know it is passing away, as the people we know, both personally and impersonally, are a reflection of that passing. The grief is palpable as we say goodbye to the world that we once knew. And it was a beautiful, if very flawed world, but innocent in many regards. Over the last few years, that innocence, however, was ripped away, violated again and again and again. And at the end of that experience, which we're not quite at yet, but at the end of it, we are going to be witness to the atrocities, the corruption, the absolute dark matter that has been running through the veins of this world for eons. Now, I do believe that there was a time when evil was not so pernicious and not so close to the surface of things. People were more civil, more polite, kinder. We had an organizing principle in our lives. Here in America, we had the American dream. We had sort of a Christian ethos. If you worked hard and didn't fuck people over, you could get ahead in life. Yes. And people here don't realize how special that is or has been, because that's not always the case for the rest of the world. The rest of the world, there's a lot more governors in that experience. Most of Europe is completely socialized, and you can work your ass off. And if you're in France, you'll be happy to get about 35 to 40% of your income, right? So here we've had it very good, but somewhere along the way, they decided to put their hooks in us, and they decided to corrupt us from inside, not just inside the system, which became very corrupt, but inside of our own lives and what we allowed to take root and permeate. And it's my contention that ever since 9/11, 2001, the darkness of the world has become much more prevalent. And by the time we hit 2016, we're really aware, we're beginning to become aware of just how dark it is. Now, was it always that dark? I don't think it was always that dark in the maximum sense. It got darker. It definitely got darker. And so here we are. Are we at peak darkness? We're getting close. Today is a window onto that world. And the emotions are very deep and very, very turgid. Right? This is this balsamic moon. This balsamic moon. The final stages of letting go. And here's Ceres, right? Ceres is right there. Right there. It's just gone from Aquarius to Pisces. So all of you out there who are having a difficult time, please take care of yourselves. You know, this is one. I don't want to trivialize what we do here. When I say we, I mean we. I mean, I'm talking about you people in the chat and you people that listen. Right? You may not have met each other, but in a brief window, in a moment of time, you're kind of a support for one another. And I appreciate that about all of you. And we're all different, and we're all flawed in our own ways. And sometimes we, say things that we may regret, but we always have the opportunity to apologize and say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way." And that's the beautiful thing about you guys, right? And so what I'm trying to get to is that there is support. Just like our friend Dead Wolf. I think Dead Wolf is just channeling this moon. Charlie's channeling this moon, right? And what happens in chat? There's an outpouring of support. That's Ceres. And we're all responsible for our own emotional experience. But guess what? We're not alone. We're not alone. There are compassionate, empathic people out there right now who, even for a stranger, will offer words of condolence and kindness. And don't forget that. And today is important. I always end the show, treat each other well. That was my new thing, like treat each other well. And today is one of those days. Treat each other well. Because you never know whose path you're going to cross and what they're going through. And we may take that for granted. So there's a painful awareness today that something is passing, right? The passing of Gene Hackman, man, that gets me. You know, we see these actors. I was thinking about this morning, actually, before the show went on. I was thinking about Al Pacino. Like when Al Pacino passes away, how are people going to feel about that? Like it's going to blow their minds. Like we're going to see these icons. Gene Hackman's one of them. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Some people say, good, I'm tired of that guy. But they're going to be passing away. Clint Eastwood, the ultimate pass away, right? And then age will be gone. You know, and then we'll be looking at people like Sean Penn and Robert Downey Jr. and Brad Pitt and Keanu Reeves, right? Kind of this next wave of actors, Johnny Depp. But when they start to pass away, oh boy. Because I got to tell you, when we're left with Zendaya and whoever that guy is that plays the lead in Dune, and they're the icons of our time, well, it's not really our time anymore. You know, I could go through all of this in greater depth and detail, but I'm really just focusing today on this right here, this balsamic moon. You know, when it squares Jupiter, guess what? It just feels like there's more. It's like, how much more? Jupiter and Gemini, how much more information can we handle? Right? How much more trivial news or news that is supposed to be important, which unfortunately has become trivial, like Jeffrey Epstein. How much more can we handle? How much more before, like our friend Dead Wolf, just throws his hands up in the air and says, fuck it, I'm out of here. This is what happened with Gene Hackman, apparently. Fuck it, I'm out of here. And I think that's a sentiment that a lot of people have. It's like, I'm tired of this place. I'm tired of the garbage. I'm tired of the abuse. I'm tired of the cruelty. I'm tired of the meaninglessness. I'm tired of the people that profit off of all of it. And guess what? You have every right to be. We're in a marathon. We're in a marathon now. What are we in a marathon for? Well, it's a high stakes game. It's all or nothing now, isn't it? It's either the dystopic future that awaits us, that many people have dreadfully feared for a very long time, a complete surveillance society where if they can't get the mRNA into your arms, they'll get it into your food. And we are in a slow kill factory. Actually, I guess we've always been a slow kill factory, but a more widespread slow kill factory. Like that's one part of it. Or the other part of this is that all falls apart. And that the lattice work of the devil cannot withstand the mighty force of the divine. And in which case, that will fail. And I believe you want to be around for that. That's what you want to be around for. And it may be a bittersweet victory. We might all look at each other and says, well, why couldn't we have been here all along? Why did it take this catastrophe? Why did it take this dramatic ending in order for us to arrive at this place? At the end of the day, that's on us. And maybe perhaps we'll appreciate it more as a result of this. So if I have any other words of so-called wisdom or advice on this day, it is hang in there. Hang in there. Because guess what? By tonight, there will be a new moon. And tomorrow, there will be a divine alignment. And there will be a cosmic order in the sky that will be unparalleled. And in some ways, it is the dawn of a new day. All right, let's get into our star of the day. And bring up the banner here. There's our, oh man, this is weird. Okay, let's get this out of here. There we go. Let's see. Banner, banner, banner. Come on, give me that banner. There's our banner. There's our star of the day. All right. So our True Hemp Science star of the day, and I had to dig a little bit for this one, and I'm much, 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 much happier with this star of the day than the other one I was going to do. I was originally going to do Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader is so boring. I mean, at one time he was, Ralph Nader. What was he? The Nader's Crusaders. I mean, he really was a guy that kind of stood up for the consumer. I'm not going to get into Ralph Nader, though. Today's star of the day brought to you by TrueHempScience.com. Come on, support our guy Chris now. He needs your support because we're going up against these fucking cartels from New Mexico, right? Who have come in and created SB3 here in Texas to basically wipe out all of the CBD developers and point of sale people, right? So everything that you do, everything that you buy from True Hemp Science, some of that is going to go towards funding the one group here in Texas that is big enough to hire a lobbyist to go into the Capitol and take on these fucking cartels that are trying to change the CBD laws here. Not only that, your life will be improved for it. So TrueHempScience.com, type in 15MINS, spend $100 or more, get the goodie bag, your Whitman sampler of CBD products. $150 more, get you free shipping, and there's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. All right. Our True Hemp Science star of the day is Roberto Assagioli. And some of you may ask yourself, who the hell is Roberto Assagioli? He's a controversial figure, but he's also a very important figure in the world of psychology. Roberto Assagioli was the founder of a practice called psychosynthesis. And it is Assagioli's assertion that the self has many selves inside of oneself, and that the idea is to be acquainted with a variety of the selves that live in each of us. Now, some of you will understand the concept of archetypes. Well, there's an archetype for this and an archetype for that, and some of us may be running a couple different archetypal programs. Assagioli goes even deeper, right? He goes even deeper because there are parts of ourselves who aren't always archetypal. They may be trivial, but nonetheless, they are a part of who we are. They may be grand, and they're a part of who we are. So his idea is to identify all the different parts of ourselves and then to integrate them into this idea of oneself, right? And that is the basis of psychosynthesis. It is a journey towards wholeness, but it's an understanding that the different parts of who we are comprise that wholeness. And if you wanted to, you can go somewhere and you can go study somebody who will give you a degree in psychosynthesis, and you can actually be a psychosynthesis practitioner. And that is your practice, is to define the various character, nature, and versions of self inside the self. And then once you understand who and what they are, what their story is, what their narrative is, you then work on what? You work on integration. Or in the terms of Carl Jung, individuation. And when I looked at his chart, I thought to myself, this is a chart that is really a lot of different selves. In astrology, we have different types of charts. There's the bundle chart. There's the basket chart. There's the bucket chart. There's the locomotive. There's the seesaw or the zigzag, right? There is the splay chart. And then there is the splash chart. And Mr. Assagioli has a splash chart. And when we look at a splash chart, that means at least 9 houses are occupied by planets. And then when you have a splash chart, you get a very complex chart. In most cases in a splash chart, you will get a grand cross. And look at that. He's got that grand cross. He's got a mystic rectangle. In some cases, you'll even see a grand trine. But let's just take the idea of psychosynthesis, right? And we'll assign it to his chart. Every station here would be part of the story of the various selves. You got a 10th house self. You got a 12th house self. You got an ascendant self. You got a 2nd house self. You got a 4th house self. You got a 5th house self. You got a 6th house self. You got an 8th house self, right? All of these houses with the variety of experience and what each and every one of these planets represents are essentially an illustration of psychosynthesis. And the idea would be to, again, somehow bring these into a unified whole. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? This is why this man was drawn to this idea. It's in his chart. He's like, I got all this shit going on, and I got to figure out how to put it all together. And if I have to go through it, well, because I'm a human like many other people, I bet there's a lot of other people who are like me. And so we're going to create a map. We're going to create a manual for integration. It's the chart. I'm telling you, look at this. So when we think of that, when we think of all the various selves, right, what sign comes to mind? Oh, there's only one, and it's Gemini. That is the sign, right? All the various components and parts of the self. What does he have? He's got Pluto in what? Gemini. Where's his Chiron? In Gemini. Well, some people say, Roberto, you're just a schizophrenic motherfucker. You got too many selves. Which one's coming out today? And he's like, yes, I know. This is my wound. There's just too much of me. I have to figure out how to bring it together. I have to heal the many different versions of who I am. Right? And Pluto plays a role and Chiron plays a role. And when you look at his ascendant, which is in Cancer, it's the point of integration. It is the balance between the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. You know, in a lot of ways, it all comes together in the chart. He's got his sun right there on the midheaven. What is it doing? It's trining the ascendant. So he has a path towards that. Fascinating chart. Am I right? For this idea, this practice, it's absolutely fascinating. Even when we bring in the true node in Saturn, right, in Leo, it's like his goal in this lifetime is to, number one, be an authority, but also to pull it all together. And we talked about Cancer on the ascendant, where there's sort of this balance, right? This balance, this to some degree, homogeneity. We'll use that as a term. But in addition to the crazy Gemini, which he's trying to work out and bring all these different parts of the self together, Saturn is the key to his chart. It's right here, right? It's in the 2nd house. It's foundational. And he's going to become an authority, right? An authority in the thing that he's working on. So we talked about Cancer, right? And Saturn's also integration. It's also integration. The Grand Cross, in this case, you can see it here, 1, 2, is the Sun, Neptune, Pluto, Moon in Virgo, and then Jupiter all the way over here in Sagittarius, right? Sagittarius really is the assemblage of the micro into the macro. And this is the heavy lifting he did in this lifetime. To me, this is utterly fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Now, there are people, and I've seen this, there are people who believe that Assagioli is some kind of cultist, right? Like the idea that we would be separate, have all these fragmented identities would be an anathema to somebody who says, well, I'm a whole person already. right? I'm a whole person already. God made me whole, and I don't have to do anything except understand and recognize my wholeness through the divine order and love of Jesus Christ and God. And there can be some absolute truth with that, right? So people who have that belief would look at Assagioli and say, well, you're of the devil. You're of the devil because you're denying that we are born as an image of God. We are born into the world innocently. And as long as we continue to recognize, praise, and devote our lives to the thing that gave us life, the spark of life and creation, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. There is only one self, and that one self is the higher self, or the self that is the divine self, and that I am an image of that divine self. And all of this is just, mishmash. But I will tell you that this is a man that not only lived through World War I, but lived through World War II. And when you live through those experiences, you live through a very fragmentary time. Incredibly fragmentary time. Europe is blasted apart. Families are blasted apart. And the idea that there needs to be some kind of reintegration of the psyche on the back end of those experiences, I completely understand it. Completely understand it. And then there's the chart, right? There's the chart. It's all there, right there for everybody to see. This is his life. His chart really is the essence of psychosynthesis. And putting all these different complex stories, pieces of who he is, the narratives of who he is, into a unified whole, and then creating a system where other people will understand this. So I had to dig a little bit to find him, because when I was over on Astro.com, he wasn't listed. So when I have choices that are limited on Astro.com, I go to Astro Theme, and they actually have a better database of people inside of their system. As I was scrolling through, I did Elizabeth Taylor last year. Chelsea Clinton's kind of boring. No. Oh, Roberto Assagioli. Do we have a birth time? Oh, we have a birth time. And look at this. I don't think there's a better example of somebody, their practice, their identity, their legacy, their system as it relates to the chart itself. So there you go. All right. Let's get rid of the banner. And normally I sign off here, and I will in a moment. Before I do, I just want to check in with all of you. And this is a very, 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 very intense time. Very intense time. So I'm just checking in on you and wishing you all the very best today. Right? And as I stated before, I will state again, treat each other well. Take care of yourselves. And I love you all. God bless you as we enter the fray. As we enter the fray of the vortex of this balsamic moon. But just wait, tomorrow will be a new day. And tomorrow night, the heavens will come alive. And a new order will emerge. All right, bye for now. Take good care. See ya.